The family tree is pretty exciting for several reasons. This is the 12th episode of the 5th season of Rugrats. It's a double-parter, and this actually leads into the Rugrats movie. I've already reviewed the Rugrats movie, so I won't be reviewing it in between season 5 and 6, but I might rewatch it again just for my own fun. But in this one, we also meet Chuckie's grandparents, his father's parents, his paternal grandparents, and they're pretty interesting characters. I quite like them. I don't know if we see much more of them. They're also a lot younger than Tommy's grandparents, but I thought they were pretty decent characters. And this actually revolves around, as you can imagine, a family tree. And Stu and Didi are away on a cruise for their anniversary, so Chaz is looking after Tommy and Angelica, and then he ends up looking after Phil and Lil as well. It sounds like a lot, but his parents are there helping out, which I'm sure he was thrilled about. And the babies are wondering what a family tree is. And Angelica tells them it's the tree where babies come from. And honestly, part of me thinks she believes her own words, and part of me knows she was doing it to wind the babies up. But Tommy and Chuckie decide that since they both like apple juice and they both like jumping in big piles of leaves, they must be brothers. And they start calling each other Brother Tommy, Brother Chuckie. It's so cute. And Tommy wanders off, and Chaz thinks that Tommy is lonely. So he picks Tommy up, and Chuckie's a little confused because his father went straight to Tommy, not to him. And suddenly he doesn't like the idea of Tommy being his brother, and he tries to get Tommy into trouble. And I'll say no more about that. But it was an interesting narrative. It was very different, the relationship between Tommy and Chuckie, because usually they are best of friends. They are like brothers. Occasionally they'll have, altercations. There was that one where Tommy kind of accidentally gave his inflatable clown to Chuckie and they didn't get along for a bit, but generally they're best friends. So it was really unusual to see Chuckie going out of his way not just to get anybody into trouble, but to get Tommy into trouble. And I won't say what he tried, but Tommy's reactions to everything were pretty great. It does cut back to Stu and Didi every now and then, and initially I thought before when I started watching this, it didn't twig that this was the lead up to the Rugrats movie, and I just kept thinking, why are you showing us Stu and Didi? What's the point? I don't care about their vacation, but there's a big reason for it. And I guess with a spoiler warning in a moment I'll mention that, but if you've seen the Rugrats movie or any episode after this, you'll know what it is. But it was fun to see those characters in different costumes, in a different environment, of course, and I rather enjoyed it. I feel like it was a good idea to have Phil and Lil in this episode. It did feel a bit forced. Betty leaving them with Chaz when he already had his hands full was not the smartest decision, but I'm glad they were in the episode. But what we find out at the end of the episode, so this is a spoiler for what happens in the last couple of seconds, but we find out that Didi is pregnant with the baby we know becomes Dill Pickles, which is a name that has always amused me. I don't know how old I was when I realised what a dill pickle was. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I always knew. I think dill pickles, I knew about dill pickles before I knew of dill pickle, the food, if that makes sense. Uh, but yeah, I feel like it was worth having it as a two-parter. It was very interesting. Really enjoyed it, and looking forward to the new edition of the new character in the next season.